This movie does bring up a good point, right? If you see something bad in the alley, would you have said something? I've have a hard time believing a lot of people would do things anymore. They would be more like take their phone out and take the picture or take the video and be like, fam, subscribe, someone's getting kidnapped. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Neighborhood Watch. So what's about pretty simple premise? You have Jack Quaid he's mentally unstable, but he witnesses a kidnapping, and his neighbor is a cop, more of a security guard, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and they're going to go on the hunt to really see if someone was kidnapped or it's all in Jack Quaid's mind. So did I like this film? I thought it was an interesting film. I enjoyed it. It's a very simple premise with interesting developments and aspects to this movie that really brings up mental illness and what to believe and what not to believe in. Should you believe something? Should you get involved in what is going on just, in the back corners of like human trafficking and things like that? So this is based in Alabama, and it is a very simplistic message when it comes with, mental illness and, being a cop or being a security guard and you wanting that power and you also having that struggle of gambling and things like that. Jeffrey Dean Morgan as well as, Jack Quaid do a fantastic job. There's really no other actors in this movie. Yeah, you have the side characters of the cop or the bad guys or the girls maybe being kidnapped. But other than that, it's pretty much those two story through and throughout. When we deal with the look of the film, pretty simple. The script, pretty simple. I think what exceeds in this movie is Jack Quaid, having the struggle of mental illness and trying to get through his day of making eye contact, of trying to get a job, of just trying to survive with all the things in his head that will not get away of just him, the grind of just his head just going freaking crazy. And there's a good scene in this movie about him and Jeffrey D. Morgan in a car discussing what it is like to have this mental illness inside his head. Also, just, good chemistry between them of it started, pretty shittily and it get a little bit better of trying to understand eye contact, trying to understand just real world scenarios, because that's the other thing is Jack Quaid's character kind of understands the real world, but is willing to kind of set it aside for some, specific reasons. Also, having his sister involved as a little side character and side plot does make the movie a little bit more interesting. There are some things though in this movie where you're just like, why not? Why be so secretive about it? And what I mean by that is there's a scene where Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Jack Quaid does go to, the sister's hair salon shop, and they try to be all secretive to a customer. And at a point, it's like, do you have to be secretive at that point? Because, I mean, yes, I understand that there's something that occurred at someone's house, but you're in Alabama, someone broke into your house, something had to be done. It's stand your ground laws. This isn't California, where California is no joke. If someone breaks into your house, you got to run away and be like, oh, all my $millions, bye, it's going to get stolen. No, this is Alabama. This is stand your ground. So at that point, I was a little bit confused of why they decided to go that route. Sure, they wanted to go that route to have the kind of suspense at the very end of the film, but just in the moment, I'm just thinking, this is not that person's home. They broke in. They have a gun on you. It's called self-defense. Yes, I know they might talk about the whole mental illness thing and how that might come into play. But overall, little things like that where you just don't really think about it. And there's also a car scene in a junkyard. And it makes you wonder if something or someone was in the car. Because there's also a subplot with Jeffrey D. Morgan not having good hearing. And with that. So there were a little bit of elements where it does keep you second guessing. It could be a pro or a con of what is real and what isn't in that movie. The movie does do a pretty good job with that, but there are a couple of loose ends that aren't really fleshed out, and I was a little bit bummed overall. So yeah, overall, Neighborhood Watch is a simplistic movie. It is a Jeffrey D. Morgan, Jack Quaid trying to solve a crime, or if there even is a crime. It's low-key, Alabama, not in the greatest part of town. I do like how they decided to do that aspect to it. It's a simple hour-and-a-half movie. It goes by pretty quick. There are some good elements dealing with the acting and writing, but there were also some elements where you're like, I don't know if that actually makes sense, or it would have been more simplistic. But of course, movies want to add a little bit more suspense to some scenarios. So Neighborhood Watch will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 70%. So we'll see the critics and user scores gave this one. We have critics a 63% with 24 of them. Audience score 81% with over 50. No critic consensus. 63, 70, 81. Pretty interesting scale. Chase Klock here, the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of the things, Blueftopia, you Blueftonians. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I can watch this tape tomorrow, week from a month, and a year from now. Every single freaking one of you. Peace and love. Peace and love. And yeah, are you on a neighborhood watch?